morning after an extended power outage and otherwise crazy world hiatus. We are back with Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, and disembodied hands, Quindy, Justin, and John, and Kiki! Good girl. Thank you. Good girl. So yes, here we are. Yeah, there's an extended Kiki. Look, you actually get to see her when she's not totally trying to nom my face or my hand. Okay, now there's nomming. Good girl. That was well done, Keekster. No, you cannot eat my wedding ring. Thank you. That would be an expensive ingestion. The cutest co-host. Yes, so big, only she's going to get bigger. Yeah. Twisted Oma, we had 2.5 days, I think. 2.5 days, no power. Yeah, and we're doing new figure. Yes. So we the storms that hit pretty much took us out. At like 10 p.m. everything hard shut down one night, and everything just died. And our neighborhood is pretty notorious, apparently, according to our next door neighbor who's lived here for 30 years. She said because there's all the power lines are above ground and we get a lot of wind, and there are trees. There are big trees because it's an old neighborhood. So we got nixed, but because I was proactive, I saved most of our freezer. I think we lost only a couple of freezer things. And we lost a few fridge things. But some of that fridge stuff I just wanted to throw out anyway. It was just an excuse, let's face it. I right on that first day, like the first day following the night power outage, I was like, okay, I have to take action because the fridge is not going to stay cold. So I right away ran and got ice and loaded up our big OtterBox cooler that I have because I travel with my puppies and I have a weird diet. So I bought a really nice cooler a long time ago, and now it saved us. It saved our eggs and saved all of our things. So, and then I have a travel cooler that I loaded up too. So yeah, we didn't lose much. It was really frustrating for David because he likes to game and stuff. So that was. He had to deal. There was one night he abandoned me to go back to Google because he's like, I can't take it. I'm going to go play DDR. And I was like, and stream his shows, right? Because Google had power, of course, Google. And I was like, where would you have been in Pioneer times? Oh, no, I was off to the doctor's just for my second shingles shot, Twisted Oma. And that was actually the insult to injury part of all this, is that the night that the power went out, that was my shingles shot, my second dose, and I had the highest fever, like, all night, like I couldn't sleep for hours. So the power being out was actually, like, just fine. I would have had to cancel the stream anyway, because I got, like I couldn't sleep till 4:30 a.m. Like, I had to, like, cover myself with wet cloths, cold wet cloths, in order not to be as fevered. It was pretty bad. Now I'm just fine, of course, but it's just the reaction to that particular thing. So yeah. No, I don't, unless it's like my chronic stuff, Twistoma, I don't really get, unless it's a reaction to a shot or my chronic stuff. And my chronic stuff, knock on, like, wood, has not acted up for a while. So, but otherwise I'm, like, pretty bulletproof. I still haven't had COVID, guys. Even despite having been exposed to it on numerous occasions. No, probably not, Turgeon. Probably not. Because, okay, so I'm convinced, I have no evidence to back this, but I'm pretty convinced that Google has, like, secret giant underground generators that will just, like, keep Google going in the event of an apocalypse. Total supposition. I have no grounds for this. However, the fact that David can take all our electronic devices to work and just charge them, and the fact that we have coolers, I might get another cooler, and the fact that we're on a separate grid. Our neighborhood is on a separate grid from the grocery store that's like a block away from us. So they didn't lose power. So that was awesome. And our hot water is on gas. So we didn't lose that. So the only time that we would be in a real problem is like in an earthquake. And then we're probably not staying in the house, you know? So, and I doubt the home generator would help in that case. But yeah, so no home generator. I think we're pretty good. Oh yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't have done that, Quistoma. That was you were a trooper there. Yeah, the shingle shot, like, other than my arm hurting, it wasn't a big deal except for the fever. Like, the fever was the nasty. It started hitting that evening. Like, right around when the power went off is when it was starting. I was telling David that I didn't feel well and that I was going to bed early and the power went out. So it was just kind of annoying. It was kind of annoying because, like, then, you know, I couldn't make myself, like, something to try to, you know, like, yeah, Agent Marvel. I was just telling people the giant odyssey of power outage and all the rest of it. So, but yeah, I don't think David thinks a home generator is necessary, and I'm really not sure that I do. So, as long as we can keep like things, and now that I know that we're prone to this, and there are storms all week actually coming through our area. I got 2 giant bags of ice from the grocery store, and I shoved them into the garage freezers to help keep it. Because we didn't lose anything out there. Like, the top shelf thawed a little, but otherwise that freezer was perfect. Hey, Dicey Guy. We're talking about power outages. I live out on the West Coast, and we've been getting hit with weather. But we will proceed to painting now, I promise. We are starting a new mini today. It's the Burgermeister. He's really characterful. I really like him. So he's a Dreadmere townsfolk type figure. And we haven't really... I don't know if we've done a townsfolk type figure before. I don't remember. But yeah, welcome, guys. So actually, I was going to let you guys kind of choose. I was thinking about letting you choose colors on this one. I kind of wanted to do him in either blue or green. Because I like his fur. But I want to be able to go... I think I want to be able to go like a warmer color with that. I'm not sure. But I was thinking blue or like a dark green or a blue of some sort. But what do you guys think? He's got I'm just asking for a main color here, probably for the cloak or the inner thing. Just one main color. But if you guys have a strong opinion, let me know. Otherwise, I will just choose a color and go with it. Ermine is probably not in our future. Ermine is a pretty specific color scheme, but I'm not sure, Turgeon. Not asking for color, just want general. Kaz wants red. I do so much red, though. I do so much red, guys. I'm kind of sick of doing red. I haven't done green in a very long time, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So I'm kind of wanting to do him in almost like foresty colors, like a kind of money green, you know, money bags green, you know, like Jaguar green. I'm gonna leave the second color just open to my my gut, Turgeon. I'm not gonna take suggestions. I just wanted a general, if anybody had a super strong opinion about it. But I was leaning toward green, and we can look at Ermine. I mean, it's generally. Uh-oh. I left my phone elsewhere. Well, I can't look up any references for Ermine, so we're not going to do the fur today. But as I recall, you need to do the little black tips. I don't know if I can do that on this. Oh, there's all sorts of Scottish colors, Kaz. Like, it's green, blue, red, black, you know. But I mean, he's not necessarily Scottish. I'm not going to do a tartan, because he's so busy already. Though I might do something fun back here, or I might just do a cloth texture. I don't know. Let me see what my gut. My gut is always purple. You are right, Daisy Guy. But not for this guy. Like I've just been painting a lot of like blue, purple, red lately. I did do green on the mouseling, but I only got like a tiny bit of green. But I feel like I'm doing a lot of purple. Mouseling got a little bit of green, but just very, very little bit of green on mouseling. Hey, Redlinks. But yeah, I don't want to go purple. I've just been doing so much purple. even I get sick. Like I get in, you guys probably run into this too. I think most painters that I know do run into it unless they take steps to keep out of it. But the color rut, the dreaded color rut, we all get into these like fugues where we're like painting everything red or painting everything teal and purple or painting everything black or painting whatever, right? So that's why I was thinking, I just kind of wanted to, I was feeling kind of like a reddish brown on the leather, which usually I like to go like dark green or dark blue because it looks really good. I haven't done reddish leather for a long time. So I think I'm looking at like a hunter green or something like that. So yeah, I want to scratch him up a bit. I don't want to do too much dicey guy because he does look pretty well off. But I mean, he could still be like Dreadmere is kind of, as I recall, is a kind of a swamp city. Like, so he absolutely could be out there like getting his hands dirty and like, you know, or the other thing I was thinking about what his character kind of fits for me is like the steward of an old hunting lodge, you know. In that case, like his leathers and everything could be beaten up. And then the fur also makes more sense, and the warm garb also makes more sense if he's like up in kind of the head of like some noble's remote hunting lodge. I like him better on that. Like, you know, if I was doing him as like a town mayor, I probably would do reds and purples or something like that. But I kind of want him to be a little more rustic. It's a little bit different because I think a lot of people are going to paint him just fancy McFancy pants, and I'm like I'd like to make him a little bit more rural, I think. So let's do some colors we haven't done before. This is a chance for us to do stuff. I'm looking for meadow green. Thought I had meadow green back here, but I might have put it away. Yeah, it looks like because I don't use it a lot, I may have thrown it in a different direction. No. Okay, meadow is a very, very muted color. I don't know if I want to use that. So we've got a couple options. We could go up brighter green if we go pine and cat's eye, or we could go with pine and meadow and bring it up a lot more organic. Yeah, a lot of people like I think paint this guy as like a sheriff or as as just a fancy like town mayor or town, you know, money lender or something like that. But I want to go more rural with him. I really like the idea of him as like a hunting lodge like manager kind of guy. Yeah, he would make a really good sheriff of Nottingham, guys. That's a good. I love Robin Hood, so you got me there. I did notice a mold line, so I'm going to take it off real quick while we're talking. But what do you guys think? Would you rather have him a brighter green, or do like a more muted color scheme on this one? Yeah, I was going to say, Quinny, meadow green. That's kind of why I was reaching for meadow green in the first place. And we haven't ever used meadow green. He's a food critic. Daisy guy, that's awesome. Oh man, definitely goes into the kitchens to complain to the head chef, you know, when something isn't up to snuff. So just taking a real light touch with the knife here to take off these mold lines. Bones USA responds really well to that. I don't know if you can scrape it like you can styrene. Maybe. I'd have to get my scraper, but this is a little bit of a small area for my scraper. So I'm just going to use the knife. Flower. I don't know if he's quite that flowery, but maybe I can do a stylized flower on the back. Maybe he's, maybe that's just the emblem of his lord, and so he's, you know, his lord's estate, so he's, going to have that flower on the back. I could do like some kind of like the Lancaster rose or something. A play on that. I could do that. But we'll see. Mostly I was just looking for a good jumping off color. You settled down, Keeker? Hopefully she has. She definitely needed something to chew this morning. She was starting to shred one of her favorite toys. Now I'm going to have to repair it. Kiki's a very good puppy, but you know, like she's gotta have a chew. Like she's gotta have access to a chew at all times. All right. I see a tiny, yep, I see one right down there. Yep, yep. Yeah, it's the one that goes down. When you find one, always follow it all the way down, because it will be like all around. So it goes up here too. No. I'm not taking any more suggestions at this point. I wanted a starting color, so starting color's good. We'll do meadow green. But yeah, peacock feather would be a little bit too ostentatious for the guy that I want to do. Plus this is this would be kind of, you'd have to do a little bit of sculpting, I think, to really make this a good peacock feather. Because they have, they don't have this big floofy part. Like you'd have to cut part of this out. Like cut out part of this or narrow it a little, and then you still wouldn't have all the feather because it's curling, see? So you'd lose the best part of the peacock feather. Yes, Reaper Peepers. That's what we are. Leaf Bud Green is actually quite a bit lighter and brighter. Here's Leaf Bud. You can make a tryout out of these. Kinda, although your meadow is a little bit too muted. I thought about Leaf Bud, but I've used Leaf Bud. I used Leaf Bud on the Mouseling. I'm trying to reach for colors that I haven't used, guys. I'm going to put Cat's Eye away then. We'll make this guy a little more earthy. But yeah, not trying the feather yet. Feathers are hard. They're hard to do because normally they're boring. Normally they're just going to be a boring color unless they've been dyed. And this guy, we could still give him a dyed feather. He might still have a little bit of panache that way. Yeah, it does look more like an ostrich plume, doesn't it? So that's white or black. Although you can, the nice thing about ostrich plumes is if you do the black ones, you can give them kind of a purplish brown highlight, and that can look nice. Yeah, with the curl there, I wouldn't do the ostrich. Most feathers that you find sculpted on miniatures are not ostrich plumeable, unless you do a bit of conversion, because they've got a poofy base, but then they cut in and then they have that big flaring round part, right? So you have to kind of, for it to look right, not that, you have to always make things look right. I mean, I reach for realism in my stuff, but I don't expect you guys to. But yeah, so I mean, you can certainly paint a regular feather as an ostrich feather, and in your fantasy world, ostriches just have different feathers. But the other thing is, I don't think this guy that fits the personality of this guy that I've got here. As I'm building it out, and I always ask myself what the personality of the figure is. Because he's prosperous looking, but if you really look at his stuff, he's not super fancy. I mean, yeah, his hat is. Like, his hat is the one super fancy part of him. Otherwise, he's just got layers of clothes, which if he's up in a cold climate, that makes sense. And likewise with the fur collar and the fur-trimmed coat, and the big heavy cloak, and the big heavy boots. So that all honestly, he's really overdressed for Dreadmere. Really overdressed. He does have a big gem. That is true. There it is. Gem and gem. And yeah, you're right. He does have little gems. All right. I missed those. Though I am tempted to kind of slice them off now that I've noticed them. But the point here is that you don't have to stick to the sculptor's original concept on any character. We tend to. It's the easy answer. But I don't really feel like doing that with this guy. So... there we go, getting a little bit better. Just need to get a little bit of this off. There we go. There's a little bit of knife work. I tend to like knives because if you have a light touch with them, you can get pretty precise with your removal. Yeah, he does definitely take care of his hair and his beard. This is true. All right, a little bit of mold line here. Yeah, we really can follow the mold line all the way down on this model. I hate how I never notice these things until it's time to do the show. I'm like, I glanced at the model, I was like, oh, it looks pretty clean, and then boom. Then I get online and suddenly, boom, there's a huge mold line. Well, I guess we're dealing with that. So if I come to an area that is has like layers of detail that could be taken off with the knife, then I just get very careful. Oh, I didn't quite take that off. And this is where I like having the scalpel blade. It's very precise. I have many, many years of working with the scalpel blades to take off mold lines, so I have a pretty light touch. And the key here is you really don't need to put a lot of pressure on it. The thing I like about Bones USA is it doesn't cling. Like once you get that little bit off, it just flies away. Unlike with the softer materials, which can kind of like pill up almost like a fabric. Yeah, he is a little bit disgruntled, isn't he? Here, Roger. He can be disgruntled. So I was reading the first part of my Magic Systems book that I told you guys about the other day, which is like kind of a book on how to create a magic system for your fantasy world. It would be good for both role-playing games and like writing. But the cool thing is that he breaks it down really, and you can use it for equally for like science fiction stuff. Since you know most science fiction is just a different flavor of system of stuff that we don't know how it works. It's pretty cool. I'm enjoying it. He's very exhaustive. He's obviously a very meticulous person himself, so he's broken this down into sets of, you know, how to define your magic system, how to create it from the ground up pretty much. It's pretty neat. I appreciate it as having a regimented mind myself, but my mind tends to go off chasing dust bunnies every once in a while, so having somebody with an even more meticulous mind than me write a book about this was very helpful. It's Monday, we're all a little disgruntled. Yeah, have fun, Dicey Guy. Thanks for stopping by. All right, little bit of removal here. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. We've almost tackled the entirety of this stupid mold line. Alrighty. That's good. That's good. I've got a little bit of extra material clinging to that. Looking good, looking good, looking good. There's a little bit in the back here. Okay, let's check down the side just in case. Looks pretty good down this side though. Like there's a tiny one, but it's much less in evidence. There we go. All right. I think Kiki's sleeping. She loves the cold air so much that I just crack open our door onto our porch, our sliding glass door. And I leave the screen in, obviously. But I crack it open just a little bit so the cold air comes in. And she just camps in front of it. She's just like, she's got her head like right next to the cold draft. And she's just lying there. Silly Kiki. Because she's really a Shiloh. In that way, she loves cold. Okay, we are ready. Now, by the way, if you didn't want to emphasize this guy's like Richie Rich attitude here with all these gemstones, The way to do it is probably to paint them just as if they're like paint them dark, de-emphasize them, like paint them black. Onyx. Make it onyx instead of something more expensive. Try to make it a semi-precious gem instead of like a ruby, sapphire, etc. That's probably what I'll do. I'm going to understate those parts of him. All right. I think I'm going to start with Meadow. Or maybe I'll start with Meadow plus Pine, and then I'll go up to Meadow and up another step. We'll see what we can do. All right, so let's mix some colors. I think I just did... that's right, I just did the metallics thing. Did I do... Yeah, and I did another metallics. I did a metallics like PDF with the weathering on her shin guard here. Did you see those? Or you're asking specifically for this stream? I was going to say, the Patreon, I'm starting to do more TMM stuff. Although it is really, like, that's how I do it. Like, the one that, the recent one where I was working on this area. Like, that's how I do TMM. So, it's like... I don't do a lot of TMM on 28mm Agent Marble because I find that it's not as... it's a lot harder to make it look good. Whereas I think on big models, it can look beautiful. I also have a thing, if you run over to my own YouTube channel, twitch.tv/paintingbig, I recently was working on this for my Anubis guy. So I think the last time I streamed over there, I was working on the TMM here. It depends on what level you're at. I may have done it for a $10 tier because it was actually fairly a fair amount of work. I think that's a video, but it was recent, like last month maybe, or the month before, maybe November. Yeah, if you run over to twitch.tv/paintingbig, it should be a VOD still. I don't know if I'll save it. I tend to only save the ones that I really feel like I'm more teaching a class where it's more directed. I mean, you just use different colors to shade it. All right, so let's go back up and mix a color. See how these colors are really going to work with each other. If I really wanted to go real muted, I would actually use Ancient Oak for the shadow on this. And I may still, but I'm going to see what my Pine Green does for me. I do love my Pine Green. I'm going to do 4 drops of Meadow Green. Oh, okay, yeah, you find it then, Agent Marble. It's not a paint along, so you'll find it for sure. And I'm going to put 1 drop of Pine Green in and see how it looks. Since this is a mix I've never done before, I'm going to go into it with kind of more of a cautious approach. Drop 1 drop of my water flow improver mix in there. That's a pretty color. Still not quite dark as I wanted it though, so I'm going to drop another drop of this into it. So now we're at a 2-to-1 Meadow to Pine. Oh, now we're getting more there. Yeah, now we're getting more there. Okay, I like that color. And we're at a 6-to-1 Paint to Water. So 2-to-1 Meadow Green to Pine Green, 6-to-1, and that's a nice soft darker green. I like that a lot. Yes, thank Margaret for that. Thank On the Road to Tiamat for that. Big Chimpo. She is a goddess, and she always updates it for me, so I don't have to find the time, which is so appreciated with all the crap I have going on. Just is she is worth her weight in gold. She's a wonderful person and a great painter. She just won something in the Miniatures Monthly competition with her awesome little like spirit deer forest thing forced avatar thing. I don't remember the name of the model, but I want to paint it. All right, so let us embark upon, and I probably want, with this, I would take a big brush to get the back here because it's big and wide, but then we'll see how well this brush deals with the smaller areas. This is a Da Vinci Maestro. It is one step up from what I usually do. I ordered a size 2 recently because I wanted something a bit bigger, but still had really good control. So it's still a Series 10, just like my normal brush, but instead of a 1, it's a 2. So it's their normal round, and we're going to just use this. I'm also probably going to make his hat the same color, at least the top of his hat will be the same color. We'll see how dark this actually looks once I get it on. He does have, yeah, he does have a lining. I'm probably not going to worry about whether I hit the extra edge here that's going to be in gold, most likely. Gold or silver. Or maybe a color. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it a color for once. But the bigger brush, as long as it's got a fine enough tip to handle it, the bigger brush allows me to move quickly, which on the base coat we really want. Hey, crows. So this isn't quite as dark as I had originally envisioned it, but I'm going to go with it. If you would do that, if you're like, you know, now that I put this on, it doesn't look as dark. Well, first let it dry, because a lot of paint will darken as it dries. Acrylic paint. And then if it's still not dark enough that you would want it, as you would want after it dries, then we can take some steps. And again, I don't care if I paint over the trim. I'm going to be going over that separately anyway. It is a 2-to-1 meadow green to pine green crows. In honor, you know, as was pointed out, in honor of Bobby. This is his sculpt, and he is the meadow green fanatic. And then the sleeve here gets the green. And we'll shade it down a bit. Now, a lot of the time when I've got a model that has very shallow folds like this, I will start dark and work light. I think it's just easier than trying to paint the shadows in. But in this case, we obviously have not started that way, so we are going to have to do it the harder way. In my opinion, the harder way. It's just to block in shadows. So let me see here. So we've got a couple of different, we've got a lot of different layers here. That's going to make things a little harder. What I'm going to do is actually put the green in again on his secondary layer here. So we've got this coat that he's got his traveling cloak over the top with the shoulder mantle. Then he's got the fur-lined coat, which appears to be going right off of the shoulder mantle, which is weird because the coat here is, yeah, I think these are going to be 2 different furs or 2 different areas anyway. So we've got the coat, but the coat is pretty much right up against the cloak, so we're not going to go there. But there's this little layer right down here, and we can make that green. Alternate, essentially. The easiest way to get around multiple layers of clothing is to try to alternate. So the green is up against the green here, but it's just a little bit. It's not a big deal. And it helps us to repeat this color across the model. Then when I go up and put it on his hat, we will definitely have his primary color being green. I have a lot of paint on my brush right now, so it's not forming a fine point, so I'm having to be a little careful with it. I decided I wanted to use colors that I haven't used before on the stream today, crows. So we are using meadow green, which I've never used on stream. and pine green, which I think I've only used like a tiny, I haven't ever used it as a main color. I still have two little bits of, pardon me. So even after you've painted up something, if you see that you have a little bit of mold liner flash or something weird that's getting on your nerves, you can still take it off and paint over it. I'm just trying to figure out what this is. If it's just bits, maybe there were just bits of the plastic that sat there that I didn't get off before I started painting. There. Now let's put another layer over the top. I have no fear in scraping off paint and then repainting at all. I'm using such a thin coat, it's not going to be evident. When you've got a really thick coat of something on and then you scrape it up and then you try to reapply, then you can get a divot in the paint. But when you're working thin, that's really not a concern with your first layer or your second layer. All right, we'll figure out what other colors we want on him in a little bit, because I definitely, the heavy cuffed coat here, I think is the same material as this. So whatever this color is, this color will be. And then we need a pants color and a boots color and all that stuff, and then an accent color, and I'm still thinking about that. I know I want the leather to be red-brown, aiming for something lighter or grayer for this fur, but I'm not sold on that yet, and I may yet decide differently. Usually with accents like this, you do want the fur to go a little lighter just because it's a border, but you don't have to. You can go black with it. So we will think about that. I am thinking very Scottish. I am thinking maybe red hair because I'm going with the reddish leather. That lets me repeat that kind of color. I think his gems are going to be black though, more like onyx. Yeah, it almost is green stuff. You're right. Green stuff's a little brighter, I think. I want to create a shadow for this though. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do 2 to 1. How about 1 and 2? I'm going to do 6 drops of paint, but I'm going to do different. 1 and 2. It's going to be darker. Now I have a couple of choices here. I could reach for my ancient oak and bring in a darker blue or green. I could bring in brown liner, which would be easier to layer with because a liner is going to make things more translucent, so easier to layer with. Or I could do something completely outside of that, and I could bring in a dark blue or a Death Knight Black to try to bring it down. Again, Death Knight Black has the advantage of being somewhat translucent, so it would darken it without being too crazy to layer with. If you do something like bring in walnut, you're asking for it, because walnut is a huge high coverage paint. When you're building a shadow, the advantage you have with most shadows is they're kind of translucent, and that's good for layering. So you don't want to choose a high coverage color for your shadows. Like, don't reach for your high coverage darks for this. So I would maybe do these guys. I don't want to get it too complicated. I feel like I was feeling the ancient oak, but it's not quite dark enough to pop it down. Let's mix this color and see what it really looks like. And I probably want to actually put 2 drops in because we want it to be layerable. Greens don't have the heaviest coverage as it stands, so this will take it darker and greener. Let's actually use the Death Knight Black. I haven't used it for a while. I always reach for the brown liner. Let's grab this. Let's put a drop of the Death Knight Black. The other advantage of Death Knight Black is that even though it is black, it's a very weak color. It's a very transparent color. So it's not going to overpower the green with just 1 drop. It has a little bit of violet in it. That's actually going to mix with our green and make more of a purple. So what this lets me do is kind of tune this down a little bit gradually. I like how it's looking. I'm going to grab another drop of Death Knight. You can always use dark blues to shade greens. Like, you can always do that. Just mix it in. It's just going to give you more of a tealy color as you move down, depending on what you're using. That's a nice dark color. You want it to be at least a full step below what your starting color is. There. All right. Now with this, we can do a lot of shading. If we want to really darken down his green, which I'm kind of in favor of, we could glaze with this color after we do our shading, our blocking and our shading. And that would give us a very much darker hue. So you can tune something after you, even if you start with a lighter base coat. Sure, you're wasting a little bit of time. You could have just started with a darker base coat. But if you put a base coat on, you're like, you know what, that didn't turn nearly as green as I wanted it to, or as dark. Let's see, what should we use today? Let's go Da Vinci today. I've been giving a lot of chances to the Winsor & Newton Series 7, but I'm going to put it to the side today. It's Da Vinci Day. So now is where, if we really want to darken this down, we could treat this more as if we're doing watercolor. Ooh, now I've gone outside of everybody's head's comfort zone. So if you're doing watercolor, you start with a lighter color, and then you work down with shadows, right? Because you can't, unless you use white gouache, you can't ever regain your light. So it's kind of painting in reverse to what we normally do with acrylics. So first we want to make sure our green is nice and transparent. And this is a little bit opaque, so I'm going to grab another drop of water. Probably because the meadow green has pretty darn good coverage, so we're fighting that a little bit. I don't want it to go too far, though. I still want a decent bodied color. I feel like that's pretty good. See how the difference between that, where this you're still seeing a lot of brush marks and this is flowing together a little bit better? That's more what you want. This is what you should be testing. Like, even if you don't have a porcelain palette, you could always just pick up a porcelain tile at a Home Depot and just bring it home and use it just for this sort of tests. If you're using thinned paint on it, it's the easiest thing in the world to clean up. So, all right, so once we've got that, then I'm going to test it on this area here. So when I talk to you guys about surface control, remember I'm talking about how 50% of the area should stay the color you want it to look, at least. And usually then you've got about 25% shadows and about 25% highlights. Sometimes this is hard to visualize, but in a limited area like this, it's fairly easy. So if we wanted this to stay this color, then we would want at least 50% of the surface to stay the meadow green mixture. But if we wanted to actually take over with our shadow, what we would need to do is at least cover 75% of this surface, right? Why? Because we still need 25% shadow to go even darker. So where is my light falling on this model? Obviously his arm is making her in shadow, but you can see quite clearly that this area here is what's getting the light. So let's keep that area meadow green. Let's put a little bit of a shadow here behind the cane. Paint in a little shadow around the edge here. Yeah, I've thinned this down a lot, so I will have to layer it on pretty consistently to darken it down. But that's the other thing about working with a layering consistency is you don't get the full dark. Like, even though this is a really dark green, we don't get this straight up where we get it really thinned. And so we're just tuning the color toward it. To reach this color, we have to put several layers on. But it's how you get a blend. So we'll start darkening down. We know that this should be dark up here, underneath his arm. And probably all the way up, because there's a strap up there too. So let's just do all that dark. Hello, Crowley. So if I wanted to stay meadow green, that's about where I would stop, right? I would stop with my shadows there. I have a good, if you look at the surface, like if you divide it up into sections, I've got about a little more than, probably about a third of it covered with the dark green. But I still have a lot of this meadow green. So that's, but notice how this looks darker than this does already, just because of the shadows. It looks like a darker green entirely. Now, if I really want to bring it more in line with what I was originally thinking of, I'm actually going to extend this dark green down another layer, another section. I'm going to bring it to where this meadow green isn't the main color anymore. It's a highlight. And when the meadow green becomes just a highlight, that's when the whole area changes color. And it's no longer the meadow green, it's a darker green. Now if I brought in an even higher highlight here, we would completely do the shift over. I kind of like this color. I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right. If I ever need to drag it back or blend it, I have my original base coat color right here. So I can bring that in and kind of blend it in around the edge here. So now we're getting a much richer green. It's getting a bit darker, but I think I want to work even more of that Death Knight Black in. Like I said, it's always good to use, you can always use dark blues to shade greens. And dark purples also make amazing shaders for greens, especially muted greens like this. So with Death Knight Black, we've got both, right? We've got blue and purple in this color. It's kind of an indigo liner. Oh yeah, there's definitely some colds going around. My parents caught one on the way back from their Puerto Vallarta trip this year. Dad caught it and gave it to Mom because, you know, she was annoyed. So let's do a 2-to-1 on this Death Knight. That's going to thin it way down. Death Knight Black is really transparent. Makes it an excellent shading color. All right. So yeah, we're painting like watercolor today. We're pretending we're watercoloring. Kind of. So yeah, unlike like Rogue Shadow, I would say is the highest coverage liner, although blue liner is also very good. So those two colors have better coverage for liners. But the whole point of liners is to have a bit of transparency to them, to make it easier to use them as shaders. This is why they're so useful. You leave them a little bit, you add a little less water if you want a more firm line, and you add a little more water if you want to use them as a general shader. So yeah, hopefully we are supposed to have rain and storms the rest of this week here in our area. So hopefully we will not have another power outage come through like we did before. So all right, now let's give this, now we're just pretty much straight up. I could add a little bit of green to this if I wanted to, but I kind of want to see what it looks like just layered right over the green. I'm mostly going to use it straight up. One time I'm going to use it as a liner, and then I'm going to go in and thin it a little bit more. So once we add that dark blue in there, you can see the difference between this and this. It sharpens up that edge. Caliblum. You know, when you blow it up to a huge extent on the screen. So yeah, so using a bit of black indigo, or sorry, a bit of Death Knight Black, which is pretty much an indigo liner. This is a fast palette color, by the way, but it's in the fast palette that I like the best. The Gloom Engrave one has so many really utilitarian colors in it. So I really do feel it's a fast palette that's worth it. So we'll do this, I'll use it as a liner, which is what it's meant to do. And then we're going to thin it and use it as an actual shadow. So again, we're starting light, working dark, instead of starting dark, working light this time. I'm actually going to transfer a little bit of it over to a new well to build that shadow though. So just going to grab a brushful or two, which is my usual MO, and pop a drop of water in there. It's going to mean I'm going to get down to the area I want. Oh yeah, did you, Caliblum? Okay. They really are, they're heavier washes. Yeah, I find they're pretty cool over Zenith, and then you go in with the highlights. That's where I think their strength is. So we've got our our thinned. You can see that it's stronger here. You can see that I've taken it down here a notch. I'm going to layer that over this. So yeah, we are painting miniatures today as if we were painting watercolors. So we started with a color. I wanted a dark green. My green turned out to be a little lighter than I wanted it. So now I'm playing with it to see if I can essentially arrive at a cool place with not too much work. Oh, over metallic paint. Yeah, that'd be pretty good tactics. Color blown. Cool. Back when I worked at Games Workshop's store in the Chicago area, we did an army of Dark Angels like that. We undercoated with silver and then did the Dark Angels green over the top. And it was pretty sweet. Very, very fast, easy way to do Space Marines that look good if you've got a dark color. You probably could do it with Blood Angels too. You need a good red metallic or use a gold or copper. Maybe copper. So now we're getting more of a dark shadow up here, which I wanted. I'm going to start bringing this in around the edges here to see what I can do. For those who missed earlier, using dark blues and dark purples to shade your greens, especially when they're kind of like a soft green, when they're not a bright green. Olive greens, this works. Purple is an amazing shadow for olive green. Now we're really darkening it down. Look how that comes in. So I'm going to go back to the first shadow that I mixed, and I'm going to bring in a bit more of it, because I want it to be a main color. So we're slowly covering up a lot of our highlight and bringing this color down. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm liking this. All right. But I'm slowly narrowed this down to the point where the meadow green is only a tiny sliver of the color on this panel, right? So it only is a small amount. And if I shrunk it just a little bit more, we would really, it's really starting to look like a dark green with a highlight on it, so, which is what I wanted. Yeah, that's pretty. I like it. It still feels lighter, and the reason that it feels lighter is that we did start with a lighter color over a dark over a gray, with just fairly light undercoat. So if we wanted this to be a really dark green and to stand out really hard as a dark green, we would have started with a very, very dark green base. Then it's essentially like you're painting over a black primer. Everything looks darker. Remember, we've done that over skin tones when we do dark skin tones. If you start with the ebony flesh instead of the ruddy flesh, you get a much darker, blacker skin tone. It just looks that way, and it's because you started dark. So here we started actually in the mid-ground, and then we shaded down to get a darker green. But that means this green is still going to look darker than if I did something with, if I started with that Death Knight black and I brought it up, it would look totally different. So if the color you start with matters tons. Whether you start with a very dark color or a middle of the road color does matter. It matters a lot. We're going to keep going with this. I like it. I'm just going to start bringing in my shadow colors where I need them. And I can block in if I want. I don't need to be paying quite as much attention to blending as I am. I can always just do a little bit of a wet blend here to blend it in. Yeah, my project for this week, I have to post the PDF for my first Patreon tier, and then I'm working on my review of the Chimera colors. So that'll be fun. I'm going to paint some things on a bust. using them. Since I know they're matte, I'm already going to start off putting some of their gloss medium into them. But it'll be, this month on the Patreon is going to be all about mixing everything from scratch. So if you ever wondered how to mix leather from scratch, I'm going to do it. And I will be also giving equivalents for those who don't have any interest in the Chimera colors themselves. I will be giving Master Series paint equivalents so that if you want to follow along with your MSP, you can. That is cool, Kerniko. You are all good. Hey, Kerniko, the puppy is finally old enough for me to actually get back to my knitting. I put it on my official like end of the night things to do so that I don't forget. I'm practicing my purls now. I want to get really instinctual at because I'm really instinctual at the basic knit now, and I want to get the same way with the purl. So I'm purling and knitting a lot. It's actually really pretty. But yeah, before the puppy just needed me to wash her too much, and plus she would have wanted to play with it. Now if I sit down at the dinner table in the evenings, I still can't sit with her in the TV room and do it because then it's just way too accessible. But we're getting there, we're getting there. Yeah, almost back to a normal life, almost. When we can have her sit in the TV room with us. So I'm really deepening and see how dark I'm bringing that shadow right under the arm. I want to see the new avatar. So I'm again doing that little bit of lining with the Death Knight Black. Hey there, Corsair. Oh, it was a good one? That's good to know. It's good that the new Avatar is a decent movie. Glad you enjoyed it, Kerniko. Okay, let's see here. Just want to kind of refine. These areas are very small, so there isn't a lot of room here. And I also haven't yet put like a higher highlight on it. Now, if I want this to be a very soft textured cloth, like a really rough cloth, like wool, then I won't want to go to a higher highlight. I will want my meadow green mix to be my highest highlight, or maybe just pure meadow green. I could go up to that. So I might do that if I decide that he's wearing a really, because it does look like a very heavy duty cloak. If he's wearing wool, then I want to suggest the texture, which usually you do with dots. And I can't do a ton on a 28, but you can at least suggest it. And the other way to do that, to give visual information like that, is to not bring up your highlights very much. And that says that, hey, this is a more dull surface. It's not very shiny. It's matte, right? That's true, yeah. No, Kiki does not do that. She will try to steal the yarn balls. She does think that they are just balls, and they are obviously balls that are chewable. So, yes. But yeah, I want to get, because once Overwatch League starts, I'll probably be watching it a lot. And usually when I watch it, if it's not a game I'm really paying super close attention to, I'll just listen to it while I knit. And that's how I get a lot of knitting done. So I want to get to the point where I can have her in the TV room while I'm watching and knitting. That's my goal. Hopefully within the next couple months we can get there. I've also been looking at starting nose work with Kiki, which is scenting games. Because she is very, very much into sniffing things. So I thought it could be fun for her. I'm going to try her on a bunch of different stuff, I think, over the course of her life, just to see. She's got enough energy that she probably would enjoy, like, having kind of a thing to do. Nice thing about nose work is that your dog doesn't even need basic obedience training to start in it. She at least does have that, but you don't have to. So you can do it with, like, rescue dogs, fresh out of the shelter and stuff. It's and it's also a sport that we're having a little bit of independence is a good thing. Sentient whale turtle. Yeah, actually, I'm the same way, Cornico. It doesn't give me migraines, but it gives me headache. Gives me a blazing, like, headache. I've never been prone to specifically migraines, but it definitely will do that for me. All right, so got all that. It's nice and shaded now. We got some nice dark shadows. I like the dark shadows. I'm going to keep working with those. Let's do the front here, and then let's tackle the back. I'm going to line around this real quick. This is going to be a pretty dark panel down here because, Scott, you can even see the shadow of the overhang of this fur gives it. So we'll line it real quick, and then we'll go back in. So what I think I'll do is I will use Pure Meadow Green for my final highlight. And I think I'll do wool. So I'll do a little bit of stippling, really fine stippling if I can, for my highlighting. And often, depending on, on a bust, I would have started stippling before this, but on a tiny 28, there isn't a lot of texture that you can do. So I usually wait until my last or second to last highlight layer before I start putting on texture. Yeah, so I started using my really pretty yarn, and now I want to do a sweater. Like, how hard are sweaters? I want to really make something I can wear. Like, my scarves are cool, and I'm doing another scarf this time with to do the purling thing. I'm making a ribbed pattern, but I want to do a sweater. Are sweaters hard, Kerniko? Yeah, David could probably actually talk me into going to that movie if he wanted to. Like, just because the special effects are going to make it so pretty. So pretty. My stitches are like, okay. Black Rose, they're pretty decent. I don't know. Maybe I'll run and show you at the end of the stream. Ugly scarf was ugly, but this scarf is turning out a little bit better. I still make mistakes every once in a while, even with as simple as I'm doing it, but I think it's pretty. I'm also not terribly fussy. Like, if my sweater had a couple of imperfections, but the majority of it was fine, I would be okay with wearing it, so. But there's just so many pretty yarns out there. I like the ones that shift colors. I'm working with a color shifting yarn. Yeah, right. Sweaters just seem like a slog because there's so much, right? So if you don't use a super bulky yarn, it's going to take you longer. Maybe I should do a bulky sweater first. I'll need to find a lighter weight but bulky yarn. I don't know. I should use this as an excuse because I've been doing I've been putting aside money as an entrepreneur to pay myself a little profit distribution at the end of every quarter, which is just a tactic, and it's just actually really cool and fun. So I have my profit distribution to spend, so I could go to the yarn store. I have about $200 to blow if I want to. I've been kind of saving it up. Just adds character to the sweater, Phoenix. You think so? Oh, ponchos. Yeah, Black Rose, that's a good... I like shawls and ponchos. So I'm always cold. I'm one of those people who's like cold a lot. That's a really good idea to just do it, to do a poncho. Thanks, Black Rose. Actually, let me make a note just to remind myself. I probably want a pattern. That would be a good like intro, because then I could see how long it takes me. I could also do a cardigan, I suppose. That way I wouldn't have to, you know, like that would be kind of like don't have to close up the front panel kind of sweater. Oh, arm warmers. That's a good idea too. You're full of good ideas, Black Rose. Thank you. Because, yeah, right. Because if you make arm warmers, you're just making arms, right? Really. Short arms. I'm learning how to read knitting patterns now. I know how to read crochet patterns, so I'm learning knitting patterns. Oh, Shadow Raven. Yeah, socks are weird, though, because don't you have to use 3 needles with those? Even with the... I use the circular knitting needles. I have modular ones. I love them. But I thought with socks you had to have another needle. Oh, nice, Black Rose. Yeah, I started... this. You will be amused at this then. You started when you were 5. I decided to teach myself knitting when I turned 50. So... I've been doing it for... I haven't been even doing it for 6 months because I stopped when we got the puppy. So I actually only got like 3 months in. I've only been doing it for 3 months. Oh, I'm that kind of person. Like Black Rose, every time, like every decade, I seem to adopt a new thing. Like I make a new kind of goal and I dedicate the decade to it. So like this decade is my writing. So, but I also have like other things I like to start, littler things. It's kind of cool. Like I've resisted sewing all my life because my mother, because I'm just that kind of contrary person, and my mother was like, is super good at sewing. So I never learned to use the sewing machine. My brother did because he's like 6'2" and wanted to hem his own pants. But knitting attracted me because the yarns are so pretty. Can't do the 3 needles thing. Do you just, is there a different way? Can you just do increases to do a sock? Like, couldn't you, to make the heel, couldn't you just increase strategically? Am I wrong? I don't know why you need 3 needles. I don't know knitting well enough to know why I might be saying stupid things. Or do you just avoid socks, Kroniko? I do. It is perfectly fine to like buy myself super warm socks. I do not need to knit my own socks. But knitting some cool colored ones actually would be kind of fun. Because I do like colors. In case you didn't notice. So we're getting some shadows in here. Ah, you crochet socks instead of knitting. Oh, all right. I'll look that up. Crochet, that makes sense. Crochet socks. That's a good idea. Jeez. Black Rose, you are my new favorite, like knit crochet resource. Like, you and Kroniko are now my buddies. Because, like, super awesome. Oh, needlemaker shenanigans. Oh, all right. That makes sense, Kroniko. Yeah, because I was like, I mean, a sock, really, shouldn't you just be able to widen the part that you need to be the heel? Oh, okay, cool. Thanks. I will make a note of your name spelling. There. You betcha. If I come up with questions, you guys are my resources. Thanks. Thanks so much for the help. I really appreciate it. Because as a total newbie, like, and you guys know this, right? Because some of you on my stream are newbies, and you're looking at me and going, oh my gosh, this woman can help me with all sorts of things. And I can. But yeah, this is part of why I decided to start a new hobby. Because when you teach anything that you've got a lot of experience at, which I have obviously with miniature painting, it helps to be able to put yourself back in the position of being a beginner at something, I think. Even if the thing is different, but you will notice parallels, right? You'll absolutely see parallels. And I think it really informs the teaching and makes it better when you have an appreciation of what it's like to really struggle with the opening parts of a hobby. We're going to just ignore Corsair. Hi, Kiki. Hi, Keekster. Hi. You want scritches? You want to come up and say hello? Do you want to come up and say hello to our friends? Should I put my brush down? Do we have a Kiki visit? You can come up. Can you come up? Yeah, you can come up. She's like, no, I don't want to be that bad, Mom. You don't want me to jump up. Oh, okay, we won't jump up then. Sorry, I tried to get a Kiki visitation, but she's not as excited. Not as excited. Hi, pretty girl. Oh, you getting scritches? Yeah. You cannot go back into that corner or you won't fit. You're not tiny anymore. You're not tiny anymore. I have a giant tail right here. Hi there, giant tail. Hi, you're on the other side of me. Can you get out? You just want scritches. She just wants attention. Yep. Good girl, Keeks. Don't eat anything back there. I had to move one of my big wire panels that was protecting some stuff on the floor back there from her because I had to create a new bedtime crate for her. Yeah, Kiki came to save us all from Corsair's jokes. Yes. Oh, I see, Callabone. Okay. So it's more easy to keep it as tight as you want. I see. All right. Yeah, but maybe I'll just have loose socks. I guess I could try to make a sock that's a size smaller. Oh, dear. Yeah, Kiki's checking in. It's okay, Keeks. You got another 20 minutes. Another 20 minutes to hang out. So bringing in the shading on the interior and exterior here. I'm going to bring it a little bit darker. Keeker's got to play with a big group of dogs this weekend down at our park by the school. David was walking her and there were 4 big dogs and a little dog playing in the ball field, so Kiki got to run and play. Wow. Yeah. Interesting, Twistodoma. Yeah. Oh, that sounds really cool, Callabone. Neat. Did you get her yarn collection too? Really? My husband actually just put that together and started painting it. He bought that box set because he loved the Demon Prince. Shall I go steal David's and show you guys? Hold on. Let's do it. Let's do it. Where is it? Yes, we're going to totally steal Daddy's Demon Prince paw. Yeah, we're stealing the Demon Prince. Only a borrow, paw. Only a borrow. Oh, I see. Yeah, so you had to split the yarn, huh? Boing. So he's doing a bit of conversion, and he's deciding to do blue, and he also built the floor. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Phoenix. Like, I'm putting together the Sisters of Battle special character, the leader. And she is intricate, like freaking intricate. I'm actually just putting her together like kind of like chunk by chunk, and I'm going to paint the parts separately because I know that otherwise I'm going to look at it and it's just going to be too much. So yeah, so that's David. He's doing, like, you can see how he's doing the musculature, being really dramatic. That's my man. He paints really well. This is just like the beginning, like the very beginning. Very, very beginning. I'm going to pop him over on the shelf. I'll put him back after stream. But yeah, so yeah, he really liked that set. But yeah, I'm with you because what's her name, Morven Vall, who I'm currently working on. Like I'm just started to glue together her torso. And it's like you have to you appreciate the engineering, but I totally get you on it's like it takes forever to put together and stuff. That's why I'm going to paint in chunks. I did this with I did a Forge World Logan Grimnar model for my ex a while ago. And that's another one where it was just like, I ended up leaving a lot of bits on sprue or putting parts together separately and then just painting them and then attaching them. Because I find with some of those models that it helps motivate me to finish them if I can break it down into smaller chunks. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yep. Yeah. Like these. This paint. This Citadel paint. I still have my Mithril Silver because it's still the best staying silver metallic. It used to, but for some reason with the Games Workshop models, I can do it. I don't even take... I don't know why I can do it with these with those. Maybe just because for me, I guess the anxiety would be more overwhelming to see the whole thing together. Especially because I'm trying to do this to a Golden Demon level. So that changes the game entirely. When you have to do perfect non-metallic metal blends, having enough space to just work on one small section at a time and not have everything else just looking at you, I think is important. But yeah, I can totally... Yeah, you would rather do the hard spots. Yeah, I it isn't even that. It's just that, I get overwhelmed. If the model is just too big, too much, I get overwhelmed and I lose all impetus. Yeah. So that's why, because I just want to work on this one arm. I want to get this one arm perfect. Then I want to go to the shoulder. But yeah, I decided for some reason, I've always liked Sisters of Battle, and the new models are pretty kick butt. So I was like, So for Christmas, I was a naughty Ann, and I bought myself the new battle blocks. So. Phoenix. I won Golden Demons back in the long distant past, Phoenix. I have 2 Golden Demons from 2002. One from Canada and one from Baltimore. Sorry, was it Baltimore or was it Chicago? No, it was Baltimore. But yeah, so I already have Golden Demons, but I really enjoyed the challenge. And the models are amazing now. Yeah, they're too much in a lot of ways. I will agree with you there. It does get to be a bit much. Yeah, it's a pretty box. Yeah. So I am actually a Golden Demon winning painter. I got 2 silvers. I won. My first one was my favorite because the Perry twins were judges, and they've been in sculpting since the dawn of time. So I was super thrilled that they put me second after Victor Hardy's gigantic custom demon prints. So it was very cool. Very cool. 40K single, so it's a hard category too. So yeah, that was my very pride point. That was probably one of the most exciting moments of my life, I think, actually. Because up to that point, nobody believed I could do it. My friends didn't believe I could do it. So it was kind of a really cool thing. It was the first thing that I really put my mind to and actually succeeded at, I'd say. Yeah, they're cool. I mean, they're kick butt women, yep, who are not portrayed at all soft and feminine. So if you want a kind of a counter, I think it's nice to have counters. You want both. You want all the examples, really, of acceptable ways to be female, but they are pretty cool and kick butt, so. Kiki, I hope you're playing with a toy that is, approved. Oh, she's squeaking something, so it must be a dog toy. I could hear her back there. I'm like, oh, I hope she didn't get into something. Thanks, Dicey Guy. Yeah, we're back. We're back. We've darkened down our green. I'm working around to the back here now to shade. Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. Like, I went, David competed, and David is like a crystal brush winner, my husband. And he only got like one of the commendations. He didn't get a demon. It was tough this year, though, in Chicago, last year in Chicago. Yeah, I didn't have anything to enter this past year because and I did this back in 2001 before I actually entered in 2002. I went to the Demons and I looked at the competition and I got to see it up close and in person. And that helps me kind of assess how hard will I have to work to have a chance at this, right? And in 2001, which was a really banner year for Golden Demons, I came away going, I can do this. It's going to take work, but I can do this. And then I came back in 2002 and I won. So last year, I went and I saw, and actually I was really happy because they were so rewarding, a lot of technique, and I enjoy technique. Not as much as I once did, but I do still enjoy doing a technically perfect blend if I can pull one off. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do this, right? So we'll see. I don't know if I'm at anything ready for this year, though, and I still need to find a Kiki sitter. Yeah, you! So I'm actually taking the thinned dark green, and I'm just kind of sketching in. Right now, sketching in just lines. Normally on folds, I'd be going against the green, but just for this beginning sketch, I'm not, like, worrying about it quite as much. Yes, Waffles, that's entirely it. Reaper's main audience for the almost 2 decades I've been working for them is RPG people. And so I want to take the miniature out and put it down on the table, and it's going to stand up, and I don't want to have to use glue. So that's why a lot of Reaper stuff is that way, because that's our main moneymaker, is D&D peeps. Now, we also have a subset of that for our audience who are painters, painters and gamers of other types. And so, for that, it's frustrating. The Warlord range, which was our old game system that isn't supported any longer, I think, those have slotted bases. And they're still available. But at least with the Bones USA, though, Waffles, and I've talked about this on a different stream and demoed how to do it, but with these Bones USA bases, they're more like styrene or resin. You can take a side cutters and just really snip them off. It's really easy. Yeah, Bill has a point. Like this past year, I did my Privateer Press Grandmaster, and I won a trophy on that. So the first trophy I have won in 20 years, I won last year. Most of my trophies I won during the 2002, most during 2002. That was when I was super motivated to do a lot of competition stuff. And then in 2003, I started working for Reaper, and that made they would have been fine with me still competing at Golden Demon, but I was so busy, and I didn't have time for it. And because painting was my work, I didn't have the oomph for it left over to do a competition entry. So since then, I've managed to figure out the ways that my brain has to have padding, essentially, to still want to paint when part of my job is painting. There, so we've got those little green spots shaded down now. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just got some really nice plastic cement because I was using just regular miniature super glue, but I actually prefer to use the plastic cement on the GW stuff as long as it's got a really fine applicator. I ordered the Tamiya, or Tamiya, however they say it, which I hadn't used before, but it gets really high ratings from modelers, so I'm like, all right. And it's got a super fine applicator, so I'm looking forward to trying that out on this model. All right, so I'm going to shade pretty heavily toward the top here. I'm going to worry about blending stuff in after I've got a shadow blocked in, I think. Yeah, brush on plastic cement. Oh, nice, Butts. Good. Good. I'm glad. Yeah, I have a favorite glue for metal and resin. I use Apigap. I use the medium, and I use the applicator spout, and I've always stood pretty much by Apigap. But yeah, with plastic cements, I've used the testers in the Games Workshop. I hadn't ever used the Tamiya, but like I said, it got really high ratings, and so I was like, it's good to hear that you back up those ratings as well. See, I'm looking forward to putting together some more stuff. Oh, drop bottle style plastic glue. Oh boy, eek, Phoenix, eek. What I tend to use, honestly, if you're using like glue like that, if you're using any super glue and you're having trouble with it, you can try using just like something expendable. Like I have an extra Reaper pokey tool. You could use straight pins also, or T-pins. But just dipping that, a little bit of glue, getting a tiny bit of glue and putting it down and then working with it that way. Don't use a bottle. Like just use pins, use throwaway pins. And that way, sometimes you can even, like with my Zapagap, I can take my knife and clean it off afterwards. I don't know if you can do that with the plastic cement, but if you use a T-pin, it's a throwaway thing and it's like, you can just use it to very finely place the stuff. Just by dipping it, you just like squeeze up a drop of the glue so you could just get a little bit on your pin and then you dab it on. That's the way to be precise with that sort of thing. Yeah, toothpicks are harder because they don't have as fine a tip. You can't clean them. I mean, if it still works, it works. But if you find that you're getting too much, because sometimes with toothpicks, with the wood being absorbent, I find that the glue really globs onto it and I get too much, or it absorbs into the glue and into the wood and I don't get any. So I've done that before. I like the metal a little better. Alrighty. Kiki, what are you doing? I need to go and look at the dog probably. She's being a dweeb. I can hear her working with something that she shouldn't have. 1 second, guys. 1 second. What do you have and what are you doing? Hi. What do you have and what are you doing? Hi. Are you being good? Are you being good? Okay, good girl. You're almost ready. You're almost ready. Yeah. Good girl. Good girl. All right, we're almost ready. Yeah, I just noticed you were silent and I didn't trust it. I didn't trust it, Paul. I'm sorry. Yeah. I know. You want to get up here and show people? Come here. Paws up. Can you get up? Yeah, good girl. Oh no, but you didn't get too far up. Yay, Kiki. Kiki on camera. Yay. Hi, Doglet. Good girl. Yeah, you cannot paint. You're such a dweeb. Hi, kisses. Yes, thank you, kisses. Good girl. No eating glasses. Yay, good girl. My puppy. My 6-month-old tiny puppy, guys. My 6-month-old tiny puppy. He's so tiny. Big head. Large McBig head. Okay, off. Can you get off? Come on. No. Yay, good girl. All right. No. Mama's almost done. Uh-oh. This is what I was afraid of. Oh, it is time. It's 10 after, Kiki. You didn't tell me. I think that the jump on mommy's head thing was just like, yeah, she is, Richard. She is. Hey there. Nope. Settle. Shh. Hey, no, not yours. No. I'm gonna have to kick her out. Kiki, No, ma'am. She wants the paint. Really badly. All right, pardon me while I kick out the puppy. Yes, dingo time. Go dingo. Yeah, I'm kicking you out. You're being a dingo. I'll be out in a second. Oh my gosh. All right, so yeah, there's my puppy, guys. Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes, yes. Big pupper. She's I'm thinking she's about 55 pounds. She was just over 50 when I last took her to the vet. Alrighty, guys. Yeah, so I've gotten like beaten up by my puppy now, so on camera. So there we go. So all right, we will resume. It'll give me some time to think about like other colors that I might want on this model. I do want him to go a little bit darker, so I'm going to be using some dark browns, dark blues, I think, and some reddish browns and stuff like that. And we'll see, maybe red or red orange will be his accent color. Oh, sorry. How do you keep your paint? Hold on. Paint tips straight. Oh, your brush. Okay, so you're using, if your Iron Joker, if your brush is curving, it means it's not a sable. So it's the type of hair. Synthetic brushes will slowly have their tips curve. So like this one is a Master's Touch, and it doesn't say sable on it. Unlike this one, which says Kolinsky on it, which is a type of sable. So my brush tips stay straight because Kolinsky sable, and any sable actually, won't curve like that. The hooking brush is a sign that you're using a synthetic, and the synthetic hair is plastic. So it doesn't rebound like a normal natural hair does. It just slowly abrades and fuzzes out at the tip, and that's why it curves. So, so that's why. So it is actually the type of brush. Hopefully he's still on. He or she, they. Hopefully they are still on. But yeah, that's the answer. So hopefully you got that. But yeah, I don't actually use brush soap most of the time. The vast majority of the time. Oh, so there we go. All right, so since my puppy's on the rampage and God knows what she is now out in the hall chewing, I'm going to end the stream. Yeah, once it curves or hooks, it won't come back. Yeah. All right, and Kiki, I think, is probably eating somebody's slipper, so I should go. Thank you all for tuning in. Hey, we got another new model tomorrow, and this one is exciting. Well, not that he isn't, but we're going to be doing Sister Eileen. She's a cleric, close to my heart, my favorite class, yeah, she'll be fun. She'll be fun. So that'll be what we do tomorrow. Is we'll be back with that model, assuming the storms don't knock out my power again. But yes, hopefully, fingers crossed. And thank you all for coming. Thank you very much, Black Rose, for the extra like knitting suggestion, creative ideas thing. Awesome, awesome. So yeah, so we're gonna do this. All right, folks, I'm gonna go and rescue probably David's slipper from my puppy. Have a great one. Bye bye.